Okay, so for starters, you might have seen lists in Python before. For example, we could create list 1. We go to run this cell, we just get a simple array. Well, NumPy arrays are set up not so differently. So we'll simply add the import of NumPy. We can also rename this to np, as you'll often see. So we'll go ahead and run that cell. Nothing exciting happened because we're not like printing or calculating anything. We're just gaining access to that library. So let's say I want to create a NumPy based on my list 1. So I'm going to call this NumPy1. This is just going to actually be equal to np.array, and then we can pass in whatever value we want. So we could pass in a list of values here, or we could actually pass in a pre-made list. In our case, maybe we'll want to pass in list 1, and then perhaps we'll want to print out NumPy1. So let's go ahead and save that, and if we were to run this cell, we would again get 1, 2, 3 printed out just like before. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we can also create arrays of zeros or ones. This is going to be np, not array this time, but np.zeroes. Now, zeros actually takes in an argument, and it takes in how many elements we want in this array. So let's say we want 5 zeros here, and then we want to perhaps print out zeros array. And if we were to run this cell, an array of 5 zeros here. Again, we can do the same thing for 1, and we'll print this out, and then of course the array of 1s here. But what if we want to specify a range of values? So we want like maybe a start point and an endpoint, np dot, and we're going to use this range operation, and this can take in several different parameters. So if we want to just specify a range from 0 to some value, maybe let's say 0 to 5, we can enter that. Okay, and as you can see, we get 5 elements printed out. So if we want to specify a start point as well, let's say we want the elements 5 to 10, and we're going to set np.arange from 5 up until, and if we want to include 10, we would have to put up until 11. So now we go to run the cell, we get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 printed out. Now let's say we want to step by 2s, so we want to maybe start at 0, go until 20, and we want to skip every other element. Well, we can do that simply by specifying a third parameter, being the step 0 to 20, and then we'll want to include the step of 2. So let's go ahead and run that cell, and we get exactly what we would want here. So linspace is a conjunction for linear space, and with a linspace we basically take a lower bound, an upper bound, and the number of elements we want it to populate between that upper bound and lower bound. This is going to be np.linspace like this, okay, and we'll need to provide some parameters. So the first will be the lower bound. Let's actually just go from 0. The second will be the upper bound. Let's go to 10. So let's see if we just pass in the value of 5 and then go to print. So we get 0, 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. So what this has done is it's basically created an array of 5 elements, evenly spaced between 0 and 10. Again, 10 inclusive, 0 inclusive.